Okay, we're on, if you're doing this with me, we're on slide 14, uh, a continuation of right of publicity. Broad deference is shown to the First Amendment in claims involving editorial content, um, because this is the press now. What right do you have under the First Amendment? Otherwise, people could use appropriation and right of publicity to stifle public criticism. You don't want to lose all rights to talk about people. Um, you want to be able to critique somebody. Let's say somebody is acting in a play and you're a theater critic. You have that right under the First Amendment. So somebody can't come at you and say, well, I'm suing you because you talked about me and you didn't say really, really nice things about me. We couldn't have that because that would stifle public criticism. Names and likenesses of people can be used for news and information purposes without their permission. Listen to that again. Names and likenesses of people can be used for news and information purposes without their permission. Public figures can recover damages only by proving malice. And remember, absence malice, you can't sue the press for writing about public figures or celebrities or whatever you want to call them. So if you're writing a news story, you can name the people in the news story. Okay, so let's move on to slide 15. And here's something that is probably more difficult than most to understand, and that's called portrayal in false light. It's similar to defamation because both torts involve deliberate misrepresentation. But false light claims based on emotional harm rather than harm to reputation. So public figures must prove actual malice, and false light must be believable. Let's say that again. Public figures must prove actual malice. So there's a higher level of proof, higher level of justification. And false light must be believable. So you don't want to omit something and leave a false impression about somebody. That's why you have to be very careful when you reread what you've written. And sometimes it's a good idea to get somebody else to read it and say, oh, somebody reads it and says, this makes it sound like so-and-so is a crook. You don't want to write like that. So you have to be very careful. Random photos can cause false light. False light can be positive, but are usually negative. Warren Spahn, you don't remember him. I don't remember seeing him, but I remember we used to play baseball card games. He was a pitcher from many, many years ago. I think it was the 30s. He was represented as a war hero when he was not. Now, most people say, well, hey, that's pretty nice, represent me as a war hero. I wasn't a hero, but that's okay. No, most people don't want that, especially when you're talking about war heroes. So he could say, you gave the impression I was a war hero and I was not. So even if the false light is good, somebody can sue you for that. False light cases are usually filed in conjunction with defamation. You could see how the two are similar. Somebody is dealing a blow or dealing some favor to your reputation or to your image. I'm going to sneeze. So sorry. I'm going to sneeze again, probably 2 more times. Let me see. Can I get another Kleenex? Okay, sorry about that. Here it comes. Take a break. Take a sip of your Coke. Remember this. It's really important because I will ask you this. I can promise you I will ask you this. on a test. False light cases are usually filed in conjunction with defamation. The two go together. All right, moving right along. So what are the defenses to somebody claiming that you invaded their privacy? What can you say to defend yourself? Well, number one is newsworthiness. We talked about that a little bit. Two are public documents. Well, you can't sue me. These were public documents. I got them just like everybody else can get them. Number three, you forgot, but you gave consent. You signed a piece of paper saying that I could do this, I could write this, or I could take your picture. Moving right along here, newsworthiness. Let's talk a little bit about it. This is a defense for disclosure of private facts, false light, and misappropriation. It's not a defense for intrusion claims, but one of the factors considered in them. The judge or the jury, they're always going to consider newsworthiness because you're a reporter. You're reporting news. Okay? Newsworthy is defined as this, quote, any information disseminated for purposes of education, amusement, or enlightenment when the public may reasonably be expected to have a legitimate interest in what is published. Okay, public interest. That's important. Public documents. Publishing info that is found in a public record is not an invasion of privacy because the information is already accessible to anyone willing to look for it. And finally, consent. A person who willingly provides information for publication or consents to photography or videotaping cannot sue for invasion of privacy later. Some states have held that fraudulently induced consent is the legal equivalent of no consent. So if you can prove that somebody fooled you or tricked you into consenting, or not just fooled you, but maybe forced you to consent, then you can sue that other person. Okay, that's the end of invasion of privacy. We're going to do Diedemann v. Times next.